I put in my videos like, this is a descriptive, not prescriptive. This is describing a thing that I saw and that I learned. It is not telling you how to do it. Please do not, like, I literally say that in these videos because I'm like, I don't want anyone to be confused. But yeah, I mean, and even still, I get messages on YouTube or DMs on Instagram of roasters being like, "Oh, this is great. I'm going to tell this to my producer." I'm like, "No, don't do that."
This episode is proudly brought to you by Mapper Forward's workshop, It's Time to Become a Coffee Consultant. Learn how to diversify your revenue streams and create freedom from your day job while saying goodbye to that alarm clock forever by becoming a consultant within the coffee industry or directly to consumers who have shifted towards home brewing and home roasting. Protect your income from challenging times in the coffee value chain by taking this course today. Go to mapperforward.coffee/workshops or click the link in the show notes for details. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and we are in episode 3 of a 5-part series about the ego in coffee. And Kat Melheim is joining me, Roaster Kat on Instagram. Kat, let's talk about roasters telling producers what to do. You can have this one to start with.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, don't do that. If you're a coffee roaster, do not tell a producer how to do their job. They have been doing it far longer than you. They've tried way more things than you have thought to try. Just don't do it. Yeah, this is a really interesting topic because and something that I've struggled with how to interact with a bit because I have had the opportunity to go to Coffee Origins. I've had the opportunity to attend Lucia Solis's fermentation training camp, where Lucia Solis also has a podcast.
Shout out to Lucia. It's fantastic.
Yeah. She's amazing. She I would say, for me, is the best educator in coffee. She is my like coffee crush and like someone I hold in very high regard. But yeah, I went to her fermentation training camp and learned a lot about fermentation and processing. She focuses more on bigger batches and consistency, not on like the funky, weird experimental fermentation. So I did that. I've been to Origin a number of times, to a number of Coffee Origins a number of times. And so I've learned and seen a lot of coffee processing things. And one of the things I love to do with my Roaster Cat Instagram, and I also have a YouTube channel also called Roaster Cat. I love to share the things that I see. I love to share the things that I learn. And I've struggled with creating videos about this sort of thing because I do not want to encourage roasters to watch my videos, think they know how coffee is processed, and then apply the information that I've shared on YouTube to like tell their producers what to do. Like I have been afraid of that for every time that I sit down to edit a video about drying, processing, fermentation. I'm like praying, like, please don't let anyone mistake this. I put in my videos like, this is a descriptive, not prescriptive. This is describing a thing that I saw and that I learned. It is not telling you how to do it. Please do not, like, I literally say that in these videos because I'm like, I don't want anyone to be confused. But yeah, I mean, and even still, I get messages on YouTube or DMs on Instagram of roasters being like, "Oh, this is great. I'm going to tell this to my producer." I'm like, "No, don't do that." Oh, but yeah, it's a struggle because I mean, and I'll also, so from the other side, specifically and especially in Colombia, I'm seeing a lot of producers do amazing, wonderful experimental things that with fermentation that's producer driven. So there are different like yeast fermentations that producers are experimenting with to get different flavors from their coffee. There are co-fermentations, which whether you agree or disagree with co-fermentation, there are producers who are doing this because they want to, because they
Mm.
think it's fun. They're excited about the flavor
And they're
profiles.
running a business and they have to make money, and those coffees sell.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, that's
absolutely.
that's another part of it. Sorry to
Yeah, please
uh,
go.
your thoughts there, but who the fuck do people think they are to say to producers you shouldn't be doing that or you shouldn't be selling that? What?
Yeah, yeah. This is my big frustration also with roasters who are who are against co-fermentation or against experimental processing. I'm like, you just like you shouldn't be telling a producer what to do, you shouldn't be telling a producer what they shouldn't do
Yeah,
because that's not your place. If you don't want to buy that coffee to roast,
don't.
great. Yeah, don't. But and then the producer as a business person will find another customer for that coffee, or maybe they won't, and then they won't produce it anymore because there aren't customers and they're a business person and they're in the business
Hmm.
of making and selling coffee. So let them do their thing and you do your thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's you know, I want to draw two examples here. There's the example of what you were talking about in Colombia, where they're doing some amazing things. And then in that same example, there's the situation of what happened with Koji in Colombia, right? And for those who don't know, you might want to go and check out the series with Andres Felipe Ospina on this podcast, where he's a scientist, he's a biologist and an ecologist. He's also a coffee producer. And he specifically studied the impacts of Koji in Colombia. Because what
Mm,
happened was some, brainiac in the coffee industry who was going for a coffee competition decided to take Koji from Japan and tell a consultant in the coffee industry, can you go and help the producer in Colombia to use this Koji to ferment this coffee? Having zero, and this goes to the heart of my problem with roasters telling producers what to do. They have zero understanding of the impact that bacteria is going to have, or that yeast is going to have on the environment.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
it decimated the soil. So the producer is now going to have to bear the impact, the long-term ramifications of that. That's one side of things. On the other side of things, we have people that are going and telling producers they should or they shouldn't do something because it's for their own economic impact, when the producer is clearly going to be able to do better from this. And so what people do is they throw their opinion in the ring on social media that they know is going to influence other people. And the shittiest thing we do in this industry is we shame people for what they think.
mm-hmm.
So if somebody likes co-fermented coffee, we're going to make them feel like shit because they like co-fermented coffee. Leave them alone.
Mm-hmm.
Let people have their opinions. Stop bullying people. Because those are people that won't go and support a producer because they're scared about being attacked on social media because of what you think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those two things are not the same thing. The Koji thing is destructive. The co-fermented thing is a business strategy. But both of them are being driven by roasters having
Mm-hmm.
opinions in places where they have no business having opinions, in my opinion, that nobody should give a fuck about at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's also, I mean, you bring up the really important aspect of like who bears the brunt of the risk, who
Yeah.
bears the brunt of the impact if it goes poorly or if it doesn't work out. And I think that there's a difference too between roasters who are, and I mean, this kind of goes back to ego as well. Like if a
Mm.
roaster is unwilling to take on risk or to take on some of the financial impact of something going wrong because their ego or
Mm.
because whatever, um, that's not all right. there
No.
and but there are, if a roaster is willing to, like, if they have a relationship, pre-existing relationship with a producer, pre-existing business relationship because they've worked together and they want to try something together and they together take on the risk, I think there's something more permissible there. So that
It's a
the
partnership, right?
Yeah, right. And at that point it's a business partnership. It's a business venture. Like, let's both go on this. Let's both try this thing. If it doesn't work out, we will both suffer the consequences, or we will both learn from this, rather than a roaster dictating to a producer, "Hey, I want you to do this thing." Turns out it goes really, I mean, I've I've tried some co-fermented coffees that producers have done that I thought tasted terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of co-fermented things. Like the flavors can be really great. They
Mm-hmm.
can be really terrible. And so if a roaster is telling a producer, especially a smaller producer who might not have the resources or the capacity to have a super controlled fermentation, that's
Mm.
another thing. Um, and if it goes poorly, if the producer is left with, kilos and kilos and bags of a coffee that tastes bad, and the roaster is just like, "Oh, it doesn't taste like I wanted it to. I'm not going to buy it." That's not a, I mean, from the producer's perspective, that's not a business relationship I would want to be in.
No. And they're left holding the baby with this. They now have to find something to do with this. And now it tastes shitty. And
Yeah.
that's a representation of their farm. So anyone else they give this to is going to think that this is the way that their coffee tastes, when in fact it was an experiment that they did with somebody else who instructed them to do it, having zero understanding of how to do it
Right.
in the first place.
Yeah, and for at least where I've seen, in coffee producing countries, if a producer, the lower quality coffee, they can usually sell to the local market. But
Mm.
if they've done, but usually, at least in the countries I've visited in Central and South America, that usually needs to be washed coffee. And if it
Mm.
has weird fermenty, funky flavors, even the local market won't take it. So they're they're just out a bunch of coffee that they probably can't sell even for the commodity price,
Right.
uh,
Wow.
which is just a huge hit. And I mean, we all know that many producers around the world are not even making the cost of production. And so that is just another sink in their expenses
Yeah.
that they can't make up.
What are some of the things that you would recommend people don't say when they go to Origin to producers?
I mean, have you tried X, Y, and Z? Just don't say have you tried this? Well,
Right.
I don't know. Actually, I think it depends on, again, depends on the relationship. It depends on the why are you visiting coffee farms? Are you there to learn? Are you there to, like, or do you have a 10-year relationship with the
Right.
farmer and you're there to co-create something? Or are you there to see what a producer has, taste their lots, and pick from those that you want to purchase?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, but for most people, I would say, don't say, have you done this, or you should try this. Um, because that's not, for most people who are visiting a coffee farm, that's not your place. Um, yeah, I would say that's probably, I mean, for most
And be
people,
humble, maybe.
yeah, I was going to say, for most people who are going to a coffee farm or visiting Coffee Origin, don't say stuff, ask questions. Like,
Word.
listen,
General
listen.
rule in life,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yes. Yeah. Have curiosity. I mean, this goes back to curiosity. Have an openness to learning what is happening, what you're observing, what you're seeing, without judging it and saying it should be a different way, or it, or putting your ego on top of it. This is what I've seen elsewhere, or this is what I've heard. I'm going to apply that lens here. Like, take away that lens and just observe, see what, like, take it in rather than giving out too much, I guess, for most people.
And it's such a privilege to be on somebody's property and be at a farm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's something that I don't want to say like struggled with, but because I've traveled so much and been on so many coffee farms, I'm like, I don't want to lose the gratitude that I have to people who are letting me come see their place of work, like and not just their place of work, but their homes, and where some of the times where they grew up, where they're raising their families, they're making their livelihoods. Like, it's not just something to take lightly and some trivial thing. It's a privilege. It's an honor to be able to be there.
And gone is the time where 10 years ago, I would have said to a coffee roaster, focus on building your business so that you can sell more coffee. Don't worry about going to Origin. I would recommend every person that works in coffee, not necessarily the business owner, but if you work in coffee, find a way to get to Origin.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that I feel like there was a shift maybe just pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Like 5 years ago, there was a shift in the industry where previous to that, it was like, don't go to Origin. Don't make, put that burden.
White savior.
Yeah. And like, don't put that burden on the producers because they don't need you there. They've got a business to run and whatever. And yes, that is true. And I've heard from so many producers that they love when roasters and folks that work with their coffee visit them, because they're proud of, I mean, I'm using they as a general term. Some roasters probably don't want you to visit. That's fine. Don't them. But a lot are really, like, they're welcoming. They want you to come. They want to show off their farm. They want to welcome you in. And I do think I've seen, for folks who work in the coffee industry, I mean, with Black and White, I went on a trip with our roasting team, and I saw in the roasters that I work with not a massive change, but a shift in how they think about coffee, how they think about roasting, how they approach their careers and their livelihoods after they've seen coffee growing on a tree, after they've talked to producers who and heard about their daily struggles and the things that they're excited about. And I think it is, I agree with you that if you work in the coffee industry, it is a really great experience and a great opportunity to travel to a coffee producing origin and see it at the source. Of course, do that carefully, do it mindfully, do it well, and do it respectfully. But I think everyone should go.
I would go so far as to say, prioritize that over going to Expo.
Yeah. It's so much more fun too.
Yeah. I would definitely, like, if you're like a puppy barista and you are looking to kind of supercharge how you can fast track your career, don't invest in coffee competitions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't invest in going to Origin.
Yeah.
Expo.
Invest in going. Yeah.
Invest in going to Origin.
Yeah, Absolutely. I mean, even thinking about like the cost of a trip to Expo versus a trip to a coffee farm, especially here in the United
Oh,
States. I
yeah.
mean, we've
Oh,
got
yeah.
Mexico right there. We've
Yep.
like, I mean, Guatemala, especially if you're in the lower half of the United States, it
It's a
takes you
no-brainer.
less,
You
yeah,
can
it
drive
takes
there.
you less time. Yeah, you could drive there if you're to get to Mexico, but it takes less time to fly. For me, it takes me less time to fly to Guatemala than it does to LA from where
Right.
I am.
Wow.
And it's cheaper. So and then also, Expo is always in Seattle, Portland, Chicago this year, whatever, like expensive cities.
Hmm.
Once you get to Guatemala, once you get to Costa Rica, once you get to Colombia, it's so inexpensive to stay and to travel around. So really, yeah, bang for your buck, cost for your like
Yeah.
value dollar, go to go to a coffee producing country. And especially, I mean, yeah, especially if you can connect with producers that your company is already working with.
Mm.
Um, it's just I had that opportunity both going to Colombia and also going to Costa Rica with Black and White. I went to Colombia with Black and White. I went to Costa Rica on my own, but was able to connect with four producers that Black and White has been working with for a number of years. And like
Mm.
now, every time I see their name on the bag, or just on Tuesday, I was roasting one of their coffees, and I was just like, like send them a little message, like, I'm roasting your coffee. It's
It's
just
a
like,
new level of connection, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that the uh the next thing that we're going to talk about in this series is probably going to go to the heart of this connection idea that we're talking about, because we're going to talk about the intentionality behind content creation. And this is completely your wheelhouse, because this connection thing, I feel like it has this really beautiful side where, a producer creates this coffee and we roast this coffee and we drink this coffee and we give it to customers, and social media and content creation is a way that we can give producers an insight to the impact that their content, their coffee has. And then there's this whole other dark side to it, where, as we've seen recently on social media a number of times over the past 12 months, where people use memes and articles and videos and whatnot to create a whole bunch of chaos in the coffee industry and really shift the focus away from what's happening with producers and the plight of producers right now, and back onto petty shit that happens in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we as an industry had focused on things that were more like going getting educated at origin, I feel like we'd be much more mature as an industry. But we're not. And so join us in the next episode, folks, for a lot more fun. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, friends. Please don't forget to show us some love by subscribing, liking, commenting, and most of all, sharing this podcast with your friends. Check the show notes for links, including our sponsors and our Patreon. And stay tuned for more great conversations on the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward.